Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic slash Non-Classic. This is episode number 732 and Doubeshot number 636. Got two DC trades. Actually, it's one DC trade, one Marvel trade. I should point out, I kind of gave the synopsis of this thing last episode because while I was doing Sea of Storms, it was a fun little story thing. But the whole thing with dead water and the Scavenger beating the crap out of them, that happens in here. Aquaman Volume 8, Out of Darkness, written by Dan Abnett, artwork by Vincent Calavas, I think they pronounced the guy's name, collecting the last 4 issues of Aquaman Volume 7. Also, I gotta point this out though, fun fact, this is the first volume of Aquaman where it's entirely in trade. Yep, out of the previous, at this point, right now, currently it's on its 8th volume right now. But out of the 8 volumes, this is the first one they fully put into trade. And there's a good reason for that. Because they're releasing these things while they're coming out. Volume 6 is kind of basically getting like that too. One, as far as I can tell, there's a small handful amount of trades, but that's it. I'd say in the case of Volume 6, they've collected, I'd say about half of the volume so far. I'd say about half. But this is the first one they fully collected. Yep. Gotta praise DC Comics for doing that. And for lasting 52 issues, it's by far the 3rd longest volume of the entire series. I think the 3rd or probably 4th longest. Let's see if I can find the... if I remember, I think that the previous volume for this one was about... a little over 60-ish, I think it was. Yeah, I think 60 issues. Okay. Yeah. Peter David's, the Volume 4, actually it's Volume 5, I don't know why in the world they did that, but yeah. Volume 5 is slowly put into trade. They've only collected the first 20 issues so far. 6, they've only released about 5 trades. Yep, only 5 trades, surprisingly. Isn't that something? Yep, only 5 trades. While in the case of this series... yeah, this is as far as they got so far. Also, when the series was relaunched in 2016, it was switched from coming out once a month to twice a month. This lasted for about 24 issues before the series decided to change it to once a month with issue 25. Yep. Pretty much you can kind of say with the whole fight with the Scavenger thing, of course that does not follow upon it because he hasn't seen it. But in the case of this thing, you can kind of see that when you read this, this is kind of loose. I'd say a little plot thread set up here for the relaunch of Aquaman. I think he came on just to help relaunch the book. But when he came on, I was so happy because I'm a huge fan of Dan Abnett. I love the guy's writing. And I didn't know that at first when he took on the run. I looked up, oh yeah, he actually written the book before. Yep. He actually did write the book before. He was, I think he was the last official writer for Volume 5. Yep. Yeah, he was the... yeah, he was actually the 3rd to last writer of the book. Yep. Yeah, he took over the book briefly. Rand Peter David left at the end of the book for 48 issues. Yeah, him and Annie Lanning took the book briefly, so it's nice that DC brought him back. And then when I heard that he was going to stand the book after it relaunched, I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense because he had just started the book. And as far as I know, he's still on the book. Despite the fact I have heard he's going to be leaving the book. Don't know when yet, but he's going to be replaced with Kelly Sue Honig. Okay. And she is by far the first female writer to ever write Aquaman. That I know of anyways. Yeah. But hell, the whole Outside of Darkness thing, the whole Deadwater thing, it's kind of a mild... it's an interesting little thing, but as far as I know, just a one-shot villain who appears in the story arc and he's never brought up again. Scavenger, it's great the fact Abnett decided to bring him back, which I thought was a fantastic idea. Though, actually, with Jeff Parker brought him back, but Abnett was the first one to actually do something with him instead of being a minor inconvenience like he wasn't seeing in Storms. And also, I have got to mention this when it comes to Mira. Yeah, for a majority of the storyline, she puts on this costume. And she wears it just for the storyline. And for some reason, she stops wearing it. Unknown why. This is her Aquawoman costume. Yeah, it's just it looks like Aquaman's costume, but slightly different. It's more of a feminine style costume. Um, they even jokingly ask her about it, and I love the fact that Tempest, yes, Tempest, aka Garth, actually appears in this arc. Yep, he actually made his first appearance post Flashpoint in the Colin Bunn run. No joke about that. He did appear there. Of course, he was also appearing later on in the fantastic issue limited series Titans Hunt, which I kind of thought should have lasted a little bit longer than just 8 issues because it was originally solicited to be 12. Yep. Fantastic book. Um, Great way to close out Volume 7 before the relaunch. And it's great the fact that this book throws in, like, it says a preview of Aquaman Rebirth. It's more like the first half of the one shot. But I should point out, though, this is the last trade I had to review for the previous volume. Yeah, this was the only one left. Along with the Air 2, these three were the only ones left to go. So as of now, I have fully reviewed the entire 7th volume. Well, all the trades for it anyways, and pretty much I got this era of Aquaman done. Final thoughts on this particular run. It was good. Jeff Johnson was fantastic. Jeff Parkerson was pure fun and awesome. Colin Bunn's run was actually a bit of a step down a bit because for some reason that Colin Bunn, the artist for his run, decided to do this weird thing where he changed his costume and also had these thing where in the middle of the story, let's just have a flashback to stuff happen prior to present day. Yeah, I kind of thought maybe the trade might have fixed this problem because this was an irritation. Heck, Earth 2 Society had the same problem too, where they have this flashback happening in the middle of the story. In the case of the stuff with Aquaman with his new costume, that was stuff happening in between. That was happening in the middle of the book. I don't know why they couldn't fix this, where they could have been like before the book and have the whole major book be like a major flashback. But no, they print the book exactly how the original issues came out. That was my biggest problem with the trade with the previous volume. But this one was a lot better because this one did not have that problem. And the whole thing with Colin Bunsen was a little weird anyways because he's known for being weird. He's known for being weird. But Dan Abnett is known for being awesome and amazing. Alright, moving on to another one of my favorite writers, Mark Waid. For a book that a lot of people didn't know he actually did do a run for this book. And this is quite weird though. Half the time people forget who actually writes this book. I mean, people think of people like Stan Lee, George Perez, Roy Thomas worked on this book, James Robertson, Matt Fraction, Jonathan Hickman, even Mark Millar's worked on this book. But Mark Waid basically is a writer that a lot of people didn't suspect worked on this book, but he did for a few years. Fantastic Four. This is the Disassembled tie-in issues for this crossover. But here's kind of the weird thing about this. The first 3 issues have nothing to do with Disassembled at all. It's mainly the Fantastic Four versus a new Frightful Four, which consisted of, get this, the Wizard, the Trapster, Hydro Man. Yes, Spider-Man villain Hydro Man. Yeah, apparently the Frightful Four, for some strange reason, loves recruiting Spider-Man villains. No idea why. But they do. As a matter of fact, he's actually one of 3 they've recruited this team. They've also recruited the Sandman and Electro. No joke. Look it up. I have no idea why they thought this was a good idea. And I love the way Waid writes the Wizard. Oh, the 4th member is a woman named Salamandra, who, believe it or not, is the Wizard's ex-wife and the mother of his only known child. A daughter, though he does have a clone who he kind of basically treats as his own son, who was a creation of Jonathan Hickman when he appeared in FF. Yep. And that's simply the plot of the first arc. Simply put, it's just basically a woman named Cole who becomes Johnny Storm's girlfriend because they meet online. Why not? A lot of people do. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine basically met her husband online, and they got married, and married now for about 3 years now. They married. Yep, 3 years they married. I actually went to the wedding. Happened just before my birthday that year. Yep. The Disassembled storyline is simply put, right after the Avengers disbanded. Yep, the Avengers I mentioned, they're nowhere to be seen. The placement of this is right after the Avengers Disband, anyways. These strange towers pop up around New York, and for some reason, Johnny Storm and his sister swap powers, where Johnny Storm gets his sister's powers, becomes the Invisible Man, and of course, Sue Storm briefly becomes the Human Torch. And then all of a sudden, completely out of nowhere, Galactus shows up and makes Johnny Storm his newest herald. Yeah, it's not explained to the following trade, but Library doesn't have any more Fantastic Four trades than this one, the Civil War 2 one, and of course the two Visionary books. So this is by far the fourth Fantastic Four, actually not fourth, the fifth Fantastic Four trade I've ever reviewed. And I gotta admit, this is actually a really good storyline. But it's also to do with the stuff dealing with what happened in the previous story arc with him, the brief coup of Latveria, though this is more explored during the Champions run. Yep. This is great. I'm going to give this book a 9.5 out of 10. The whole thing with Disassembled really has nothing really much to do with the story itself. I like in the case of what happened with Iron Man. Yeah, the whole thing with Disassembled, what happened in the main story, yeah, has nothing to do with what happens in here. And by the way, the title of Disassembled, that we frequently use for like almost every single Avengers book since this particular event happened. This even happened for Iron Man. Yes, Iron Man had a storyline called Disassembled, though for him it's Stark Disassembled. They also had one for New Avengers. They had it for Mighty Avengers, believe it or not. As a matter of fact, it was actually the second to last arc of the entire first volume. Let's see, I'm trying to think. Who else had it? Ultimates never did. No, I know for a fact they never did. The Secret Avengers never did, but it was a popular... oh yeah, they even used it for... I believe they used it for Initiative. Yes, I believe they did, but... the whole term Disassemble has been loosely used over the years since the storyline came out, and this only came back in 2004. Yeah, 2004 is when this came out. But yeah, I'm going to give this book a 9.5 out of 10. It's really good. Alright, so that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode. Well, I'm going to talk about a series I haven't talked about in some time. I have reviewed a couple of trades of the series before, but that was like last year. But I'm going to start reviewing a series that came out in the year 2001. The same time Grant Morrison started his run for New X-Men. And Chuck Austin for Uncanny X-Men. Okay? I'll do this next review, which will be episode number 733 and Doubeshot number 630. I believe it's going to be 37. Yep. But to see you out there. Bye.